fresh out the box.
Fresh California plums.
Welcome to another episode of Fresh Film Fridays, the podcast where two dudes pick the newest films, streaming or in theaters, and discuss them. Today we're talking about 2022's The Menu, which was directed by Mark Mylod. I'm your co-host, Alec.
I'm Eric. Just kidding. It's Justin.
I didn't think you were going to say just kidding.
I've decided that I'm going to do it differently each time.
Okay. I don't know if you're like, I'm not even going to say just kidding, it's Justin. You're like, no, I am Eric now.
I literally stole his identity.
I'm like, all right, this is going to be weird. You're like, no, I'm going to meet my wife Shannon later. I'm like, all right, dude. Like, you might want to, you're like, I have a new baby. It's like, all right. Well, welcome back, Eric. Just kidding, it's Justin. Yeah, dude, this is a good one. This is a really good one. I'm assuming you liked it. I have a feeling you did.
I did, yep.
Yeah, you're a real pretentious foodie, so I could see you getting into this.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you're more of like a Taco Bell kind of guy.
Yeah, man, Taco Bell's pretty good. No, I saw this back when it was, or saw it being released in theaters. I just saw it yesterday. HBO, if you haven't seen it. Dude, so this stuck out to me for a couple reasons. One, I really like Ralph Fiennes.
Mm-hmm. Fiennes, yeah.
Yeah, he plays such a good villain. Any movie he's in, he just always had like this like bad guy persona.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nicholas Hoult, who plays Tyler, he's in like a bunch of random movies, but I always like him in there. He's in I think it's called Bodies or Warm Bodies. Did you see that?
No, I remember when it came out. It's about like a zombie, right?
Yeah. And then have you seen a lot of things with Anna Taylor-Joy, who was Margot?
Yeah, I saw her. The first thing I ever saw her in was The Witch, which, like, she was incredible in that. I feel like she's been in a ton since then, but this is the first thing I've seen her in since that.
Yeah, dude, she's blowing up. She was born in 96, so what is she, 26?
Yeah, 26, 27, yeah.
Dude, so she was in Queen's Gambit, that show on Netflix about the chess girl, which blew up. It was incredible. She's also in Amsterdam, which I just saw, Peaky Blinders, and The Northman. These are huge films for such a young actress.
Well, she had her breakthrough in The Witch, which was directed by the same guy that did The Northman. So, like,
yeah,
man, that's a good movie to have like that be your kicking off point. Good for she's a great actress. I mean, good for her. I'm glad she's branching out.
Yeah, super successful. But this movie stood out to me for one reason, which I have a very funny story. Do you just want to give some background on the film first?
Yeah, sure. So basically it's just about a group of very wealthy people who are all getting on a boat and going to this island that has a unbelievably exclusive restaurant with this unbelievable celebrity chef. Everything is meticulously planned. All the people that work there are very, very into cooking and all that stuff. So as the meal unfolds, just very strange things start to happen. Death. I mean, just like anything that can go wrong pretty much does. And it's all part of the plan of this evil celebrity chef, and he's getting back at all these people for one thing or another.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. It wasn't random. So these people, had to reserve their spots ahead of time because it's so exclusive. Only like 20 people were there or whatever. And when they served the taco course, the soft shell tacos had like leaked info about their lives. Like that one dude was cheating on his wife, and there was a picture of him at a restaurant with another woman that was like imprinted on the taco, and someone else had like some like lawsuit thing put on there. So that was super cool. But like each course after the first couple ones, they were trying to like mess with people's heads. And it was just it was fun, dude. It was a fun movie.
Yeah, like, I really like the idea of this on paper, like, everybody gets invited to this horrible, or this very exclusive event that they can't escape from. The chef is in complete control of what's going on. Everybody's on board. All of the staff is on board. Towards the end, it started kind of losing me a little bit, because it kind of felt like some of these people I don't really understand why they're getting killed and stuff like that. Like, what did they do to him? A few of them, I'm like, oh yeah, totally. This makes sense why this guy's getting killed right now. But a lot of them, it almost felt like Saw. Where it's like, well, these people did something bad. That's why something bad's happening to them. It's like, well, did all of them? Did everybody? We don't really know what a lot of people did.
Yeah, that's true. It didn't state what everybody did.
Right. Yeah. So if you're going to introduce us to all of those people, like, I don't know. I kind of thought, dude, like Ralph Fiennes, amazing, like such a great villain in this, like such a great villain in everything. Yeah, Voldemort, and he was in Red Dragon. Like, yeah, dude, he's amazing. But like, I kind of wanted him to be like, this is why I'm doing this to you. This is why I'm doing this to you. This is why I'm doing this to you. And the one thing that like completely threw me off is when John Leguizamo's like assistant or whatever, she's like, why am I getting killed or whatever? It's just like, did you go to college? It's like, yeah. It's like, do you have student loan debt? It's like, no. It's like, that's why. Like, that's enough for her to get killed because she's on student loan debt? Like, what?
I think it was implying because maybe like her family was wealthy and paid for it.
He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that.
I know, right? Like she could have been like, I've been working 2.5 jobs and saving for it. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like I didn't.
Yeah, so like that's why I was like, okay, like dude, I get it why you're killing, you're the guy that owns the restaurant. I get it why you're killing the woman who wrote those bad reviews about other things that you had been involved with. Like I get those ones, but dude, the assistant of the actor that you don't like or whatever because of the movie that you saw him in, like even that's a stretch that you're killing that guy. Like there's plenty of actors that I didn't like in movies that I'm not gonna kill.
Yeah, if you're going into that, I might as well piggyback. A couple things I didn't like was, so Nicholas, I think that was his name, right? Yeah, Nick Holt Tyler, when he made reservations however far ahead, even Fiennes asked him like, what did we tell you when you made these reservations? And he said that everybody would die. So they like told him ahead of time, we're gonna kill everybody. And that's why he brought this, I don't know who she was, but he paid for her to come.
She's probably either a prostitute or an escort girl, yeah.
Right, yeah. So he paid for her to go, which was super fucked up because you're letting someone else die. The thing I'm curious about is why did they tell him but not all the other guests?
Exactly. That's what I didn't understand that. I didn't understand when that guy like kills himself or whatever, like Nicholas Holt, the character or whatever, because there's a whole scene where the chef basically is like, you're going to come over here with me. I told you that everybody's going to die here. Now you make me food or whatever. And it was like, you couldn't do it. It's like, okay. And then he kills himself?
I think he was so upset that he let down, like his idol so much that he just did it.
He's not a chef, though. He's just a guy that appreciates really good food and wine. Like, you can still appreciate that. Like, I think art is beautiful, but I can't paint, like... So, like, why would this guy assume that he could impress that chef?
I don't think it was that. I just think he just felt... He was just upset that he let him down so much. But, dude, the reason this stood out to me is because I have a really similar story. So, a few years ago when I went to Aruba, there's this really notorious restaurant there, right? Which is literally like this exact same experience except for the crazy and killing part. But... you've seen other movies before where there's like super exclusive dining events and the chefs are talking about how like literally the story behind each individual ingredient, right? Mm-hmm. So dude, that's what this place was, right? Super expensive. And I was like, we're on a nice vacation. Let's just do it. Long story short, it costs like $200 for this 6-course meal per person. So I didn't really fill up that much that day because I was like, I want to have room for these 6 courses. Mm-hmm. But little did I know that each portion would be like an appetizer for an infant, right? Because it's not meant to fill you up. It's meant to be like this story and this experience. So we get there and there's like 10 people sitting at this like hibachi style bar thing. And dude, the event was 2 hours. And before each serving, the chef, who was from Denmark, whichever country used to own, or not own, but like...
Aruba's Dutch. It's Dutch.
Dutch. Yeah, it was a Dutch chef. So the Dutch chef would explain literally each ingredient, where he came up for the idea, how they like match with the other ingredients. And it was displayed like beautifully, like it was a piece of art.
Yeah.
But like wasn't filling at all. And I learned that like none of that stuff interested me. I just wanted to eat the food. And by the end of it, dude, I was still starving. And we went to this like Mexican restaurant. I just got like enchiladas and jalapeno poppers. And it was just so funny, dude, because people were paying like, it cost like $500 for the meal. And then people were paying like an extra $150 per person for their wine glasses. It was just absurd.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like when they said it was $1,200, I was like, that's not that expensive. I mean, that's crazy to like you and me. But if you're one of these kind of people, that's not crazy amount of money. $1,200 to get on a boat, go to this private place, be fed all of this stuff with only like 20 other people. That's not that crazy, man.
Yeah, I guess if you're very, very wealthy.
Yeah, $1,200. I was like, that's not crazy. I was thinking it would be like $15,000 or something like that. But yeah, I've been to places exactly like what you described in New York, where it's like, wow, this is $350 per person, and then you sit down, like, don't worry, gratuities included. It's like, oh, okay, don't worry, that's good.
Yeah, dude, but people loved it. Like,
Yeah.
after each meal, there's questions, and people were like, "Where did you get the idea to like match this orange color with this like green like chicken whatever thing?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, this is not for me."
Yeah, I mean, it's not for me either, but like I can understand why, like, if you had so much money that you just be like, I just want to try the best of the best, or like whatever. It's not something that stands out to me either. I mean, I'm a vegetarian. I mean, half of the food doesn't even apply to me, so it's like I don't really care. But like, I was gonna ask you. I mean, now that we're kind of into this whole restaurant experience, you ever worked in a restaurant before?
Yeah, I have actually. I worked at this pizza place right after, I think it was the end of senior year of high school. I worked there for like a year.
Okay, all right. So I guess I was gonna ask more like restaurant work, but yeah. So like, dude, I've worked in like 5 or 6 restaurants all in New York, and being like a waiter, dude, this movie, like, it brought me right back.
Oh no. See, I would never do that. I would never be a waiter.
I guess like what I'm saying is like, yeah. So if you're a waiter in like New York City, like if you're like the head waiter, you can make like literally $100,000 a year. Like it's that kind of crazy amount of money. That's not what I was making. I was working at just like shit restaurants. But the amuse bouche, like all that shit, and like the people that live in New York that expect like the service to be better and the food's gonna be better and blah blah blah. And I don't know, dude. I hate that shit.
No, yeah. I saw a report the other day that said some waiters who work some of the nicer restaurants in Vegas, these waiters can make 500 to 600 a night in like tips and stuff.
Easily, because dude, like sometimes a meal can cost over $1,000. I mean, easily.
Yeah,
Dude. One time I was working at a restaurant in New York City. I had a table. It was like a work event or whatever. They ordered $1,000 bottle of wine. Just one bottle, and I was too afraid to open it. I had to get like my manager. I was like, I'm not opening this. And break the cork or whatever. Like you drop one drop, that's like $20. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. So yeah, you can make a shit ton, and like I'm assuming, I guess these people probably make a lot of money. I have no idea. I mean, it's $20,000 for one night's work, but it has to be split amongst everybody and all the food and all that stuff. So I have no idea. But yeah, definitely brought up some bad memories of my time as a waiter in New York. But anyways, sorry. Onto this movie though a bit. Yeah, so the only person who's not an asshole in this movie and kind of just like really doesn't deserve to be there is Margot, Anna Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, and I think that's why the head chef like wanted to adopt her into this like crazy cooking family, which I thought was weird because he wanted to bring her onto the staff, yet he told everyone he was going to kill himself that night with the guests. So like what's the plan? Like would there be a new chef or something? Like I know there's obviously like the deeper story in the movie is that it's just this chef who's like so infatuated with the idea of everything being perfect, like the meals and how his staff would move, and the experience, like part of the experience was him sacrificing himself. Like that was the movie. So you can't think of obvious things like, who's gonna like run it after that, but there are some questions that I had.
I guess that's the whole point of it. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed this while I was watching it, but the ending, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why. I don't know why he's killing himself.
This is the third movie where you've done this. Yeah, I don't like the ending.
I don't. I don't know. Like, I guess, I mean, all right, I guess the very ending was kind of satisfying. Like, Anna Taylor-Joy gets away. Everybody dies, like they said they would, including the chef. Like, whoop-de-doo. But why did he let Anna Taylor-Joy get away? Why didn't he, like, chase her down and kill her, like...
Dude, that's one of my favorite parts, because my theory is that I don't know what she found. See, this is the one thing I would like. I would have liked 15 to 20 minutes more of maybe, like, multiple flashbacks or the chef, like, explaining a story or something to Margot, kind of talking about, like, his obsession with perfection. But I'm assuming she saw something in his apartment, like the picture of him making a cheeseburger, and I think it just clicked for her that, like, she decided to play this game, and he needed the guest experience to be so perfect that he had to adhere to her playing the game. Because when those dudes asked for bread, they said no bread, because it's not part of this. You're not here to fill up, you're here to taste. Whereas she asked for the chef, like how you would in a restaurant, said, "Hey, I don't like this. I'd like you to make something else." And so when he said what, and she said the burger, he kind of could tell she was playing. And then when she said, "I'd like it to go," he had to be a good head chef and let his guest leave. And dude, I loved it. I loved it.
Oh, right, because he asks it to go. Right. You're right. Like, that's cool.
She like beat the game.
But I want to know, though, because, like, now there's somebody that witnessed all of this and can talk about it.
Yeah, and the only double-edged sword to me liking that part so much is that the entire restaurant witnessed her do it. So if I'm really being like a nitpicking ballbuster, why wasn't anyone else like, I would also like this meal to go? But that's me like really being a bitch about it.
That's important. That's the thing. Like, you should be able to question those things, and they should have an answer for that. Like, I feel like Ralph Fiennes' motives and like his whatever he's doing in this instance should be so thought out that he has an answer for everything.
I know.
I don't know. So yeah, she gets away. She eats the burger. The house explodes. Everybody dies.
Dude, the Coast Guard, I was laughing so hard because this dude came, and I thought one of two things was going to happen. I thought Ralph Fiennes was going to, like, ninja throw a butcher knife into his neck or something. Or then, when John Leguizamo gave him the note, I thought he was going to, like, give it away and get killed. And then when he was walking back, I was like, wait a minute, he has to be bad. Because if this was a real situation and Margot called for help and was like, there's like, these guys are violently attacking us, the Coast Guard would send more than one dude with a pistol. So when he turned around, I was like, fuck, dude, it's the fake gun.
Yeah. No, I knew something was up then, obviously, too. But I also thought that he was going to get killed, and then he was going to read the note that John, Leguizamo gave him or whatever. But yeah, either way. So this guy, the Coast Guard works for this guy. Sure. Okay, so question for you then. So Margot is, I'm assuming, either a prostitute or an escort girl. Okay, so the chances of her being the girl that was hooking up with the old guy who gets his finger cut off or whatever, because the chef didn't know that that Nicholas or whatever was going to bring this Margot girl, right? He's like, hey, we're expecting you to bring somebody else, and you switched it last minute or whatever. So just by chance, the same whatever escort girl prostitute that cheated on that old guy who got his finger cut off also happened to just show up. You know what I mean? Like, that coincidence was so outlandish.
Wait, was that actually her?
Yeah, it was her. So he was like, it's like, oh, who's that girl or whatever. Remember, and he asks, he's just like, so you know my husband? And he was like, yeah. Remember? Because she looked at him immediately in the beginning. They were getting on the boat, and she sees him. She's like, shit. So you're like, oh, like, who's that guy to her? So they must have had an affair at some point, and then randomly she's just there. I don't know. That just seemed like a little bit of a stretch. The chef didn't know Margot was coming. Margot hooked up with another guy that also is at this meal and then gets brought in as a separate prostitute to this meal. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just seemed like a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's fair.
Whatever. I just think I don't really understand why it was even introduced. Like, why even introduce that this girl has been with that guy? Like, it didn't do anything to the plot. It just means that guy's a cheater, but, like, it could have been with anybody. It didn't need to be with another girl that's there. Like, I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
You have not seen The Whale, but I will say the woman who played Elsa, I think, who is, like, his right-hand woman, her name is Hong Chow. Dude. She's so good in The Whale. She's great in this. I think her career, I'm excited for her. I think it's about to blow up.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that to become streamable. It's still not. Or it wasn't 2 days ago when I checked.
Yeah, I mean, she's like the second lead basically in that. I don't know. Good for her. I like her.
Yeah, so I was looking at the box office. It said it has an estimated $35 million budget and a gross worldwide of 200 and something. I mean, that's definitely good. Over half. How do you think they used roughly 35 million?
I mean, a good chunk of these people are recognizable. I mean, Ralph Fiennes, Anna Taylor-Joy, and John Leguizamo are all, like, pretty much household names, I'd assume. Mm-hmm. Everything looked really expensive. Like, obviously, the place they shot it. I don't know, though. I mean, it's all one location for the most part. The costumes and the food were probably expensive. The actors paying them was probably expensive. But for $30 million, I don't know.
Yeah. What did you think of that other room on the other side of that silver door that was literally identical?
I don't really get that. Like, something very special. It's like, what? What is that?
I would have liked some explanation to that, but I'm assuming it was literally identical. So maybe like if they were killing their guests or something and there was dinner the next night, they could kind of use that other room.
But I don't think they've ever killed anybody before.
Yeah, so again, I guess the question to that is why that night?
That's what I don't get.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not asking you. I'm just saying. Like, Ralph Fiennes doesn't give this huge moment where he explains everything. I mean, you got his weird, like, drunk mom sitting in the corner. We don't really...
That was funny. That was
What is that, though? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know. That's like, I feel like I'm going crazy. Like,
It was just kind of funny.
yeah, like, there's so much going on here. I'm intrigued. I'm enjoying it. I'm not bored. The acting's amazing. Like, everything's really cool. But, like, the ending, I'm just like, well, what the hell was the point? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. There's a part of me, I know we've mentioned this on other episodes, but, like, I wish you could, like, QA or QC, like, writing, like, the scripts before they start to make the movie. And it would just be funny to, like, see you reading the script, right? And the writer's there. And you're like, okay, like, Ralph tells everyone he's going to kill them. And you're just like, why? And the writer's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well why tonight opposed to other nights? And they're just like, well, I don't know. And you're like, okay. And like, why is Ralph then going to set himself on fire? And they're like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And they're like, I don't fucking know, man. It's just a movie. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Why s'mores? It's like, because they're for kids or whatever. It's like, yeah, but why in this instance are they making s'mores? I know he explains what s'mores are. It's like the worst thing of all time.
I think the s'mores things was symbolic of them as people because he's saying he hates s'mores. They're bad. That, you know, it doesn't, it's the opposite of what he does as a professional. And these people were like the worst of humans because they're bad.
Are they that bad? These aren't like fucking murderers. The only people that might have been worth killing are like those businessmen. But even that, we don't even know what they do. They're just rich. That doesn't mean they're evil. Like, nobody in this place deserved to die, as far as I can tell. Sure, you committed adultery. Sure, you're a pompous asshole who is very critical of food and you think you look down on people because they don't eat the food that you eat or whatever. But nobody here deserved to be lit on fire and murdered.
Well, then there wouldn't be a movie.
No, but then make these people like disgusting Hitler-esque people. I want to see Nazis getting lit on fire. Not like, yeah, these are annoying, but these all people would be on the White Lotus next season and nobody would bat an eyelash, you know? Like, give me some real pieces of shit. Make me want them to die too. Like, I don't know. I'm like, Ralph Fiennes, you're a crazy psychopath, but like, I also don't understand your full motivation for killing everybody.
Is he crazy or is he passionate?
Both. I mean, he's both. And that's what really hurts me. It's like, for me to leave that movie and be like, oh my God, I cannot wait to tell people to watch this. Like, it's airtight. It's amazing. No, there's a lot of holes.
Okay. So instead of giving it a numbered rating, would you recommend this to someone?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I would tell people, like, it's definitely worth watching if you're of any interest in, like, high quality anything, you know. If you've ever worked in a restaurant industry, you might enjoy this. Really quick, I want to ask you, I saw a trailer for another movie that I didn't know if it was this or the other one, but it's Woody Harrelson's in it, and I just looked it up. It's called...
The Triangle of Sadness?
Right. And I saw that trailer and this trailer, like, back to back when I was seeing Barbarian in theaters, and I didn't know which was which. But that movie looks exactly like this one, and I kind of want to see it.
Yeah. They're both literally the same concept, like spoofing on the super rich, just making fun of them. Which is funny you mention that because we've talked so much about how, coincidentally, like, the same plot of movies kind of get released all at the same time. And it's funny that these two got released back to back.
Yeah, I mean, the other one didn't do as well, The Triangle of Sadness. I don't know, but that doesn't really mean it's going to be better or worse. But yeah, so I would be interested in checking that one out and just see comparatively. But I don't know, would you recommend this to people?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's good. It is good. It's not a bad movie at all. I don't know. I kind of want it to just, I want the writer to sit there and be thinking the things that I'm thinking as they're writing it. Be like, what's the motivation of this character? Why is this guy so easily able to kill John Leguizamo's assistant, even though he knows nothing about her? So, I don't know. But it's a good movie. It is a good movie. Very well acted, very well shot. Okay, here's the other thing. It's an American dark comedy horror thriller. What would you call this? Because that is all over the place.
Dark comedy horror thriller.
Yep, that's what it says. That the menu is a 2022 American dark comedy horror thriller.
Yeah, that's a lot of categories. I guess I would say, I think I would just limit it to dark comedy.
That's good. Yeah.
Because I think the dark aspect implies the rest.
Yeah, so it's not straight up comedy. There's going to be some tense moments. I mean, this is not a horror film, I don't think. And I think thriller kind of implies there's going to be like action and suspense. I mean, there's a lot of suspense, but yeah, like a dark comedic thriller. I don't know, but horror is the one thing that throws me off. This isn't scary. I didn't think it was. I mean, were you afraid at all while watching this?
No, but I think it's under the horror category because those people would be afraid.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, before we wrap up here, there are a few scenes that we'll just ruin at the end, I guess. But like, yeah, when the guy like killed himself and stuff, like that was intense. And like, they don't immediately. Some people are like freaked out. Other people are like, it's part of the show. I'm like, that guy just blew his head off. What are you talking? It's not part of the show.
Dude, that was intense. Like he said some like he was like, you'll never amount to anything, and then the dude was crying, and they set up the fucking little like wreaths things. They just blew his fucking head off.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Ralph Fiennes when he was about that guy's age in the you know, from that picture that we find later of him making hamburgers. He looks like a young fucking burger flipper. So what are you're gonna sit there and tell this guy he's never gonna be as good as you, but you were a burger flipper at his age? So I'm like, what the fuck is happening? No, don't kill yourself, guy. That was pretty intense. And then obviously when Mr. Varick, I think was his name, the guy that owns the restaurant, and they kill him by like lowering him into the ocean or whatever. I have a better idea. It's a little more fucked up, but I was thinking they should just tear his arms off and then let him drop into the ocean with no arms.
What?
That's what I thought they're going to do. I didn't think they were going to lower him in there. Because they cut off his fingers. They already cut off all of his fingers. So I was like, oh, so maybe they have his arms or whatever. And like, I was like, oh, I bet they're going to attach his arms to like the crane or whatever it's on. And the crane's going to tear his arms off. And then he's just going to drop into the ocean like a fallen angel because he had the wings on or whatever. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Oh my god, you really overthought that. Okay.
Anyway, so those were the two scariest moments to me. And then the last thing I just want to ask you here. So yeah, Adam McKay and Will Ferrell actually are the executive producers on this. Obviously you know Will Ferrell, but do you know Adam McKay? Do you know him at all?
It sounds familiar.
He did Don't Look Up. That was the last thing that we did by him, but he did Vice, The Big Short, Talladega Nights, Anchorman, the other guys. He's one of the creators of Succession, that show on HBO, which I just am obsessed with.
Yeah.
He was on SNL too. He was an SNL writer and director for years. So yeah, dude, he's like, him and Will Ferrell are producing partners, but anything Adam McKay does, I'm obsessed with.
Yeah.
Anyways, any last minute thoughts on the menu?
No, like I said, I think this type of movie with this plot could have benefited from another 15 minutes just to maybe like plant the concept more of why Ralph is doing this. Like maybe flashbacks of when he was the burger flipper and like his manager was yelling at him like, you can't even make a burger, you'll never amount to anything, and it somehow led him to this.
What if the opening of the movie was like almost like a documentary that the audience is seeing? It's just like, Julian Sawick was a burger flipper who turned into blah blah blah. Now he owns the most esteemed. Like if they had some sort of like exposition dump in the beginning that was shown to the audience, almost like a documentary explaining his rise or what this restaurant is, or just giving any background to him.
Yeah, like it could have been like a documentary or something interview that he was watching, and then the movie could have started when he like got up and turned the TV off and put on his chef's coat.
Right, exactly. Just so the audience is like, okay, so this guy's a celebrity chef. This is where he came from. This is because he says in the movie, he's like, I was in Waterloo, Iowa, and he's like growing up in Bratislava. So he's just like saying whatever now. And, like everything he says, you're like, I don't know where this guy's from. Right? Because he said he was from Iowa, then he said he was from Bratislava. So you're like, what?
Where is Bratislava?
It's in fucking like Eastern Europe. That's from Eurotrip where they go to, and the guy's like, I have nickel. He's like, I start my own hotel. Like that guy. That's Bratislava, dude.
Dude, that's so funny.
So he said he was from Iowa, then he said he's from Bratislava, then his mom's this like drunk lady that's sitting there, and you're like, what is going on?
You bring up some good points. Oh, and just let you know, Bratislava is the capital of Slovakia.
Okay. My roommates in London went there, and they're like, do you want to go? And I was like, no. They flew from London to Bratislava, hung out for a few hours. They're like, this sucks. And they got on a train to Vienna, and they went to Austria. and then flew out from Austria. They're like, okay, we shouldn't base trips on the bad parts from Eurotrip.
I mean, yeah, probably not.
Yeah. So my roommates in college, yeah, they all went to Bratislava. They said it was like a penny a beer, and I was like, I believe you.
A penny a beer.
I'll pay £5 for a beer. I don't care. Anyways. Well, everybody, thank you very much for listening to our discussion on The Menu. If you haven't had a chance yet, we released our episode on Eight-Legged Freaks this past Monday. This upcoming Monday, we have Urban Legends. We'll see you all next week with something fresh.